welcome to the TTC channel. Um, and we definitely appreciate your presence here with us today. And welcome everyone who's come in that normally doesn't come into the channel.
Thank you, thank you. Happy to be here and looking forward to helping out and answering any questions that come in.
Okie dokie. Well, um, I'm sorry, Travel, or Mr. Hoover, Trooper Hoover. Are you just real quick? Are you holding the button while you talk, or are you hitting the button, talking, and then releasing when you're done?
I'm pushing the button, talking, holding the button the entire time, and then releasing when I'm finished.
And welcome to the room, Trooper Hoover. You probably see the different names popping up. What type of device you have? An Apple or you have an Android device? We'll walk you through the steps so you don't have to be pressing the button because I know you're probably a busy man too.
Yeah. And thank you for that, D. But let's hold the comments just for a second here. Um, I want to welcome you to Truck Talk and Chill. We have several people being several different rooms and Zello being represented here. Um, we got Black CDL holders, real trucking information. I can't go through the whole list. I'm sorry, but what I would like to do is first of all thank Travelese for making this happen. And if we could just hold all comments just for a second. Travel. The floor is yours if you want to go ahead and get the party started. And uh, yeah, if everybody could just hold the mic, please.
Yes, Trooper, we have all walks of life coming in here, all drivers, well, majority of drivers, so yeah, many personalities, but excuse that, but yes, I just got off the phone, so my apologies. Have you all started yet?
No, no, no. The ball is yours, bro. We can't get started until the MC starts. So it's all you. It's this is your show, man. And thank you again for putting this together. And so however you want to take over, man. The show is yours.
All right, Truck Talking Chills, Sovereign Roads. We appreciate y'all coming on the channel. You could have been anywhere else, but you're over here. Um, I was introduced to Trooper Brent Hoover's fan page just through one of the groups. I'm not sure which one it was, but when I saw the information that he was sharing, whenever he does a stop on the side of the road, and just digging deeper and deeper into the post that he makes. I mean, yeah, the drivers, us as drivers, are supposed to know what to do and how to do it out on the highway. But again, he's out here educated. He's not trying to be, you know, one of the officers that's just real stiff, real hard up on drivers. He's actually trying to help us not to do what some people feel that they can get away with. So I figure, hey, since I'm always sharing his information to the trucking groups, why not hear him out, hear his side of what he does on a day-to-day basis. And also, hey, he's a fan of us, because he may actually pull over one of the nice trucks and take a picture, on the highway of the nicely done up trucks, as he's doing his job. So, yeah, let's welcome Trooper Hoover. You have the floor. You can let us know, give us a brief bio, and then we could do a little Q&A.
Hey, need somebody to walk him through the toggle button so he's not holding the button down. Somebody walking through the toggle.
That's already been done, young Grind, according to the notes there on the glass. After he gives his bio, if anybody has any questions so that we're not button hogging from the officer, that'd be awesome. Just key them down under the notes there. That would be awesome. But there's already a couple of questions on the table. I'm just gonna wait until he's comfortable and ready to get those questions towards him.
All right. Can you guys hear me okay?
10-4.
All right. Well, with that being said, just want to kind of introduce myself. My name's Brent Hoover. I'm a trooper with the Indiana State Police, and I've been in our Commercial Vehicle Enforcement Division for the last 7-8 years. I've been on the Indiana State Police 14, and just in the last few years, through the use of social media, I've been able to kind of flex out and be able to share tips and little tricks to help drivers out there realize, hey, this may be a violation. Here's how I can avoid it. My belief is education versus citations and violations. So with that being said, like I said, hopefully you see I'm pretty well laid back and just more interested to help you guys out than anything else.
Well, again, welcome to the room. My name is Mel. I'm one of the moderators here on the TTC channel. I would like to pose a question. Travelese, are you ready? Do you want to go ahead and pose the first question?
Yes. Trooper Hoover, one of the questions I have would be the pre-trip. What, especially now that we have the e-logs going on compared to paper logs, what would you say would be the minimum time of doing a pre-trip? Especially now that you see, I'm pretty sure you've seen logs where someone might have put down 2 or 3 minutes, maybe a 5-minute pre-trip. But what would be a sufficient time for that?
Well, in the past with the paper logs, the typical minimum breakdown was 15 minutes. So there's one school of thought that says 15 minutes is a good pre-trip time frame. But you've pointed out a good thing, or a good point. With the new electronic logs and everything, being able to record down to the minute, down to the second, you are able to utilize smaller times and to be able to do those. So when it comes to me, and what I like to tell people is, if you feel like you're doing a good, thorough pre-trip, that if one of the inspectors would happen to stop you down the road later in the day, are they going to find anything major? So if you can justify to yourself, justify to your company, justify to that officer that, hey, I did a good, thorough pre-trip. If it's 5 minutes, if it's your standard truck, your standard trailer you have each and every day, you tend to familiarize yourself with that equipment. But if it's one of those deals, you're multiple changing out your trailer, hot seat in the truck, switching trucks, doing that a lot, you need to kind of slow down a little bit and think, are you really doing a good, thorough pre-trip? So,
I'm so sorry. Come on back, officer.
Officer Hoover, you want to key the microphone again? That was an accident, so he's saying, come on back.
Okay. Yeah, I heard sound like messages coming in. I didn't know if that canceled me out. But basically, the old school of thought was 15 minutes for pre-trip, post-trip. That's just because on paper logs, that's the way the time would break down. So 15 minutes was kind of the general rule of thumb. With the new electronics, recording in minutes and seconds, if you do 10 minutes, it can record 10 minutes. If you do it in 5 minutes, it can record in 5. So the kind of question there is, are you doing a good, thorough pre-trip? Are you confident that you've checked everything to the best of your ability and you're confident and ready to roll? So, rule of thumb, there is no required actual time limit. You just got to be satisfied that you're doing things right.
So, my name's LaShawn, Lockout Man. So, with the pre-trips that is being recorded, You said a good rule of thumb is 15 minutes, but with the new e-laws, we can do them like within maybe 5 or 10 or something like that. But what about post trips? Because a lot of us, well, some of us don't even do post trips in some situations. So will post trips still be looked at as a violation, or we just have to record to make sure that we do our pre-trip every time when we start our day.
And second part of that, my name is Nita. The second part of that, can it also be either a pre-trip or a post-trip? Or say I didn't do a pre-trip, but I did a post-trip. Would I get in trouble for not pre-tripping?
And third part of that, I just want to ask: is this is effective across the nation with this because of the electronic laws? I'm sorry, I had a family emergency. I'm just coming back on the tail end. Also. But yeah, is this effective across the board? Because I know you reside in Indiana. I just wanted to know if this is a nationwide thing about the time limit on a free trip.
Yes, this is a nationwide thing. It's in the federal regulations. And if you dive into the federal regulations, there's a part that states where you're required to conduct a pre-trip. And then in another regulation, it's kind of buried that you got to follow up with a post-trip and then basically sign off. So, yes, you are required both. Yes, you are required to do them as far as the federal reg. And when it comes to certain cases with like team drivers, there may be where the second driver gets up and they do a pre-trip that could coincide with your post-trip type thing. So a lot of it is just documenting it properly. So hopefully that answers those questions.
Okay, good. Because as I said before, um, some drivers like get into situations where they're not able to do a post trip. Like, say for example, if they're not sure if they're shutting down for that day, they'll just go off duty, and then that, while they're off duty, you know what I'm saying, just runs into the time they, report back on duty the next following day. So I guess my question is, like, hmm, I can't even put it into words right now.
All right, everybody. If we can, try to use the texting for questions because it does break up what he's saying a little bit. Um, if you have multiple questions on top of a question like that, if we can try to key it in so that we can kind of bring the time down to a minimum because his time is kind of it's valuable.
Okay, well, I have one question. When it comes to reset and your OTR, do you have to go off duty to do to do your 34 hours, or can you be on sleeper and still do your reset?
That's a great question. And what I kind of train the new guys to look for, and with that is you can alternate between like 8 hours of sleeper berth and then go to immediately off duty and then off duty for time frame, then go back to sleeper. Because technically what it really comes down to is what were you doing. If it's one of those deals that you spent so long in the sleeper, then you got up, you were still parked, but you went into the truck stop, got some breakfast, took a shower, that's all off duty time. So you can kind of alternate those as long as it adds up to 34 hours either off duty or sleeper, you're going to get your reset in.
It's a great answer, great question. My question is about PC time. Mainly for owner operators, but I know companies have their own stipulations on PC time. There's a lot of drivers that say, well, if you have something to box, well, or if your bobtail is the only time you can do PC time, or so it's kind of like everybody's all over the place when it comes to PC time. what is the actual requirement as far as PC time is concerned? Like if you're off duty and you're driving home, things of that nature. When is PC time a factor? Is it based on miles and times and things of that nature?
That's a very good question, and that's a good thought that I was about to ask. So thank you, Mel, for bringing that up, because that's a question that I would love for an answer, because I do a lot of PC time, but I want to make sure that I'm doing the PC time correctly.
Okay, so personal conveyance. The first thing I'd want to do and get out there is if I break up or lose anybody, the best thing to do is Google FMCSA personal conveyance rules. Because what they've done is they put a nice little checkoff sheet or sheet that says, here's the appropriate personal conveyance and here's what's not appropriate. So what I'm going to do here is just give me just 1 second. I'm going to switch screens on my laptop. I'm going to re-key up and I'm going to hit the highlights of personal conveyance. So please give me just 1 second and I'll be right back.
Thank you, Officer Hoover, for your due diligence on the PC time. While you're doing that, I am going to read a question here. Let's see. Can you pull the driver's pre-pass history, or do you, let me see, make sure I got this right, or do they have to be pulled from pre-pass? I'm not quite sure I understand that question, but that's what it's saying. Can you pull the driver's pre-pass history, or do they have to be pulled from pre-pass?
There are some advanced systems that can pull a little bit of pre-pass, but from what I understand, Indiana, we're still kind of in a testing phase. So when we're looking at anything to do with drivers, we're looking at the hours of service. So I've got the personal conveyance information pulled up and ready. So we'll break again, and then if there's no other questions, we'll jump into the personal conveyance. All right, we'll jump into that personal conveyance. So big thing to remember is they've revamped the personal conveyance. So I'm going to kind of read through their question answer scenarios and answer hopefully some of what we got, and then we'll take some questions on this at the end. So first one, question one, may a driver who drops his or her last load at a receiver's facility use personal conveyance to return to their normal work reporting location, whether it be their home or their terminal? The answer is no. Returning home or to the terminal from a dispatch trip is a continuation of the trip and therefore cannot be considered personal conveyance. Number two, the guidance allows for authorized use of CMV to travel home after working at an off-site location. What is meant by the term off-site? The term refers to a location other than the carrier's terminal or shipping and receiver facility where a driver works for a temporary period for a particular job. Specifically, this term is intended for construction utility companies. So that if you're a construction utility companies, we can give you more on that.
That answered that question. So it sounds like what section are you reading that out of in the Green Bible?
Well, unless you've got a brand new updated one, it's not going to be on there. Like I said, the best place to go is Google FMCSA new personal conveyance rules, and you can find that information in there. So this is probably the number one question that's asked, so we're going to really hit on this one. May a driver use personal conveyance when they run out of available driving / on-duty hours? So this is that example. You're driving to your destination and you run out of hours. Can you PC from when you run out of hours to that destination? So the official answer is no, except for the one exception described in the guidance. When a driver runs out of hours while at a shipper or receiver's facility, may drive from that facility to a nearby safe location to park, provided the driver allows adequate time to obtain rest in accordance with daily minimum off-duty periods under the hours of service before beginning to drive. Personal conveyance in those times where a driver is operating solely for a non-business purpose and cannot be used to extend the duty day. So what that means in a nutshell is if you're traveling to a location and you run out of hours 45 minutes from your destination, you cannot use personal conveyance to get there. On the opposite, if say I'm sitting at a loading dock, and I've got 4 hours remaining, and they take 5 hours to offload me, and now they say, okay, buddy, you're offloaded, get off the property. You can legally personal conveyance from the shipper receiver however long it takes you to get to a safe place to park for the night. So hopefully that answers that number one question.
That's a good answer because the last part was pertaining to me because I get stuck at shippers quite often, and they request us to leave the property as soon as they get finished offloading, and we have to go down and find a safe place to park. To rewind to the first part of that, when you said something about personal conveyance after we drop our load, so that I can better understand that. Once we drop that load and we don't have a pre-plan set for, another load or nothing like that, we're still not able to PC either home or back to the terminal, if I'm understanding that right. I mean, I can understand if we're like still under a load, but even after we drop it and finish it out, and then we don't have another pre-plan or nothing like that. And my second question is personal conveyance or driving the vehicle while off duty. So let's say you're on your 34-hour reset, or you're at home or something like that, and you use the vehicle, as your personal vehicle to, like go to the store or whatever. Can you comment on that as well?
Yeah, me personally, I was a little let down when they came out with this updated hours of service, or as far as the personal conveyance, because there was issues like that. Your first question that I'd hoped they would have revamped, but unfortunately got kind of skipped over. So again, may a driver, and this is coming from the November 1st, 2018, the most current frequently asked questions about personal conveyance. May a driver who drops his or her last load at a receiver's facility use personal conveyance to return to their normal work reporting location, i.e. home or terminal? And the FMCSA's official response is no. Returning home or to the terminal from a dispatch trip is a continuation of the trip and therefore cannot be considered personal conveyance. So that's the official word on that. And then you had asked about, hey, I'm home on the weekend. I'm using my 34-hour restart. Can I drive my CMV to the grocery store to get groceries and come back? Yes, you can. It's got to be just a short distance. Obviously, you can't decide if you live in St. Louis, you can't drive to Louisville to go to Sam's. They may have a little bit of an issue with that, but cross town, something like that, you can do that as long as you show that, hey, you're returning back home. And the big thing is, note in the remarks section what you're doing. The more you document, the more it's going to help you on the roadside inspection explain what was going on to that inspector. So burn that remarks section up with anything and everything you feel that could help your cause.
Yeah, always good to leave a paper trail. Yeah, that's some good advice.
Travel, you fell off. After you come back, Officer Hoover, we have Steve. He'd like to ask you a question. And I'd like for those who were able to ask a question to allow other people to ask a question at this point as well. And if you need further understanding on the question that you've already asked, I'm going to ask that you hold it to the end because maybe that same clarification can happen for other people. So, Travelese, you come on back.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Miss Mel. Hold on, hold on. We're gonna have to revamp this. Because we're recording. Um, I'm gonna leave my phone number in the thread. I don't know how this is gonna work, but the ding is getting a little cumbersome. So I'm gonna ask people to text me questions just to reduce the amount of dings in the recording. And um, I wanna travel. Are you all caught up? Are you good? So we can just navigate this a little more expediently. But I'm gonna leave my number in the thread. And man, I'm sorry, this is hard. I know everybody's got a lot of questions, but I don't know. Travel, what do you think? How should we how should we run the questions as far as for the trooper?
They could text me since I'm moderating this 312 292 0311. That's my number. 312-292-0311. I am on the side of the highway right now with my four-ways on. I ain't moving. I'm about to find a place to park. So I'll get off the highway. So text me your questions. I'll get back to you. But since I'm already stopped, um, I know JB asked a question about the pre-pass. He was asking, can the DOT pull the driver's pre-pass history, or is that something um, that you all have already pulled? If that information is already pulled? And Young Grind, he asked the question, uh, do the scales have heat sensors for the tires?
Right. So, Travel, I'm hoping we can do like one, if that's okay, one question at a time. Uh, and then I did want to let Steve in because he's been quite patient to get the button, but that question about the pre-pass was already asked. So, Steve, if you don't mind keying up with your question and the remaining questions, if you can text them to Travelese, this will go a lot more smoother.
Okay. Well, Trooper, uh, Trooper Hoover, Young Grind, he asked a question about the scales. Like, do they have heat sensors for the tires?
Okay. The heat sensors, some states do have that technology. Other states have X-ray technology. Here in Indiana, we're kind of jumping a little bit into that here in the next few years. We're kind of going more the mobile handheld route as far as infrared heat sensors. And what those heat sensors can help us identify is when brakes are not working, when they are. If a truck comes in with warm brakes, that tells us they're working. If they come in with cold brakes, usually a pretty good indication we may want to pull them into the scales, investigate a little bit further. And if it doesn't offend you guys, like I said, I'm the page moderator for the Indiana State Police CVED, Commercial Vehicle Enforcement site. So if you guys are ever on that site, hit send a message. It's going to come to me in my cell phone, and you'll be talking to me. So if you ever have any additional questions, feel free to trace me down via that route. So we'll hop into the next question. Appreciate you guys.
All right, next question. Hey, JB, you could text me your question, 312-292-0311, and anybody else. The next question I see is from Young Ryan again. What are the rules for Indiana when it comes to off-ramp parking at, like the rest areas or on the get-off ramps or the get-on ramps? Do you all have strict rules about, when the parking lots are full, and we're out of hours, or we're just tired, sleepy. We can't go any further for that moment. You all frown upon trucks parking on the get on ramps on those shoulders.
Yes, of course. I think first and foremost, I think both you guys and I can agree. Truck parking. Oh man, we could sit here and we could talk for days about truck parking. So please understand that when it comes to off ramps, obviously if the postage sign it says no parking, there's no parking. There's been a big push the last few years to try to get trucks to not park on the ramps. I know, and I can agree with you guys all day long. You're tired. There's no place for you to park. Where else are you supposed to go? NDOT's big justification is the ramps are not built to support heavy trucks parking. They're just meant to be a temporary, place just to provide space. So with that being said, if you're in an area it's no parking, it can be a ticket and a knock on the door, and here's your ticket for no parking. And a lot of our on ramps, off ramps are labeled as such. And just be aware that if you are woke up, say, and you are asked to move, you can use personal conveyance, not interrupt your break time, and you can drive to a safe location. That is in the personal conveyance. If you're woken by a law enforcement agent requested to change parking spots, you can use personal conveyance for that move and not interrupt your break time.
All right, that was good. That was a good question and answer. Travelese, Toe Jam. I am beginning to agree with you. The text dings are getting a little cumbersome right now, because every time he's talking and somebody texts, it's sort of like put a pause in him talking and then it comes right back up. I'm also recording this as well, so I agree with you guys. If y'all got something in the works to calm that down. Question.
Shoot, sorry, come back. After lockout, come back. JB, I'll let JB. He been trying to get the button and ask his question for a while. So come back, lockout, and after you lock out, let JB ask his question.
Thank you. Okay, so I got a question about shoulder parking. Sorry about that. About shoulder parking. So if we was to pull over to the shoulder for any reason, what would be the criteria for that? I guess, like, if I had to pull over and, catch up on some paperwork, or pull over to take a phone call, or pull over to do a phone call, because a lot of state patrolmen frown upon us pulling over to the shoulder for whatever reason other than emergency. Oh, I'm sorry. I think I got cut off. I'm not sure where I got cut off at. But what would be the criteria for us pulling over to the shoulder for whatever reason other than emergency? Like if we need to use the phone, or if we got some paperwork that we got to find or something like that. What would be the criteria? Because I know some troopers frown upon us pulling off to the shoulder for reasons other than emergencies.
All right, that's a great question, and I'm going to start off the answer with everybody's different, every jurisdiction's different, every officer is different. So I'm going to answer the way Brent Hoover sees it, and please take out with a grain of salt and understand that just because Brent Hoover said it in his area doesn't mean that Florida Highway Patrol sees it the same way, doesn't mean California Highway Patrol sees it the same way. So here we go. Here's the thing. When you look in the federal regs, it states that if a vehicle is going to be pulled off on the side of the road for any length of time, technically they're required to display their emergency triangles to alert traffic that there's a vehicle pulled off the roadway. With that being said, that's generally roughly 10 minutes. If you're going to be there longer than 10 minutes, technically you would have to display your triangles. But it's one of those deals, try to use a little common sense with it. Try to find a spot on a straight stretch. Don't do it in a curve. Don't do it right at an interchange. Try to find somewhere that's a little bit more observant. Definitely activate your four ways. A lot of the times, I know around Indiana, Terre Haute, we're just checking on you. Hey, bud, you all right? Yep, just making a phone call. Okay, great. We'd much rather you pull off the road, be safe, make that phone call than trying to be drive down the road doing that. So like I said, again, every officer's different, but if you know, hey, I need to pull over, try to find a good spot. Try to, not a turn lane, not in an intersection, not, curve or a hill crest. Try to find a good straight stretch that you can be the most safe in the time frame that you need.
And with that being said, I do have to testify on that part of it. I was teaming and trying to get to a truck stop or a safe place to pull over. Only place we had was a shoulder. Was only long enough there to swap out to do trips. And an officer, he stopped, he checked on us, made sure we were good and that we didn't need anything. And I do want to thank the Indiana Police Department for that one, because it was dark.
Oh yeah. Like I said, it depends, but yeah, they do wellness checks. They definitely do that, and if everything good, they'll continue on their way. And as long as you get your stuff together, they pull safely out on the highway and continue on down the road. But yeah, that communication is everything. Triangles, four ways, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, y'all. I was just piggybacking off of that. But JB, hold the mic, everyone. Let JB come in with this question because he's been trying to get in for the longest. Come on, JB, if you still got a copy.
Truck Talk and Chill, how y'all doing? Brent, thank you for giving your time to us. I have a question. With the perfect CSA score, right? What determines the red light for a pre-pass? Is it like randomized through computer? Is it to the officer's request to like meet a quota? What warrants a red or green light with the pre-pass?
Okay, great question. And you kind of you hit on that. Pre-pass, they can kind of set certain safety score limits. So if a carrier, if their score's starting to creep up and they need a closer look, pre-pass can basically make the number of pull-ins more frequent. We also have access to where if we've got a day where we're doing a lot more truck enforcement on a certain area, we can go in and we can shut those systems off to have all trucks come in. So it's just kind of a hit or miss on whether they're doing it on their end or we're doing it on our end as far as the rate of pull-in.
Quick question. So inspection stations, I was told if the number of trucks were out to the road, that the trucks are coming up can continue to go. Is that true or is that not true? Is that dependent on the state or whatever? Because I was told, being out and out to the shoulder, waiting to get in to see, about weighing or going by the bypass, that being out on the road is a hazardous. What say you?
All right. Typically here in Indiana, yes, if the trucks are backed up to the point that they're going to be blocking or hindering the lane, definitely bypass. It is legal. Other states, and I'm just answering other states' questions just because I've done road trips. I've been through various Midwest states, and of course, being an inspector, I'm always checking out the other scale houses, their signage and stuff. And typically, it looks like that. If there's going to be a backup that would cause traffic to become an issue, yes, it appears most states want you just to keep on going and to keep that lane clear. So hopefully that kind of answers that. But definitely follow any posted signage for whatever state you're in.
Travelers, let me know when you're ready for me to ask that next question.
Take it away.
All right. So a lot of times with us, like we just one truck operation, and we have issues that, we fixed all the major issues so that we can run the truck. Something simple like um, a check engine light because of a knock sensor is on in the truck, let's say, and you want, that it's going to cost like all this money because it's one knock sensor, something real simple. When the DLT pulls to do an inspection and they see that one light there that's been there forever, is that a fine? Is that a ticket because of something that simple, or do you guys overlook things as simple as a knock sensor?
To piggyback off that question, what about an what is it, ABS trailer light sensor as well? Was that because sometimes the trailer light sensor will come on while we're in travel?
That's a really good question. As far as dash warning lights, so kind of sum that up. What in essence, what dash warning lights are we looking for? When we do an inspection, when I teach the new guys do an inspection, some of the really, we're looking at just a limited number of dash items. We're looking, and when it comes to the lighting, we're looking at ABS. Is there any ABS malfunction indicators on? If there's an ABS light on, that can be considered a violation. Not an out of service, but just a violation for ABS lights. The next lights that we're really interested in and we're looking at is your low air warning light. We're looking at that. So with that being said, low air warning light, you got to have the light or the buzzer. If either one or if both of them are not working, so you have no light, no buzzer, that's an automatic out of service. If you have a light on but no buzzer, there's no violation. Now, if there's a buzzer but no light, technically that is a violation. And the rule of thumb is you can drive blind, or correction, I'm sorry, gee whiz, it feels like it's Monday. You can't drive blind, but you can drive deaf. So that's kind of the rule of thumb there to remember which one is which as far as violation. But other than that, when it comes to dash lights, if we see a check engine light or a regen light or something like that, we're not really as concerned about those.
Thank you so much for that information. So you're still passing inspection with those. Question inbox to me is a driver was inboxing a question stating that when they're driving through the weight station, is it okay to have a one-piece headset on your head, or do you have to take that off while going through the weight station as well?
We're not really paying attention to the headset type thing, so if honestly that's not something we really look for. We're more interested in looking for like seat belts. We're looking at if there's an occupant in the truck. Is there a driver, passenger, that type stuff. So really, when it comes to looking at the driver, we just check, is there a driver? Is there a seatbelt on the driver? That type thing. So hopefully that answers that.
Hey, I'm sorry, finally got the button. I had a question for you, Trooper. Over. This group started a lot when a couple of females have been killed out here over the road. As far as driver safety and protecting themselves, what, if anything, Indiana is doing to try to help protect drivers out here? Like some of these truck stops are known for lot lizards, are y'all patrolling to help keep people safe, or is it just up to the driver to protect themselves? And at what cost can they protect themselves?
Are you familiar with the term lot lizard?
Oh yeah, I think that's Trucker 101. If you're going to be working with truck drivers, you need to know what a lot lizard is. But with that being said, state of Indiana has really partnered with the Truckers Against Trafficking organization. We do a lot to promote each other's message out there and promote that. The drivers being more self-aware of what's going on. As far as extra patrols, we try to do what we can with the limited number of personnel we've got. So with that being said as well, when it comes to driver safety, knowing where you're parking, knowing kind of your area, and then of course personal safety always kind of brings up the message of what type of self-protection weapons can you have in your possession. And of course, the first and foremost, can you have a gun in a CMV? Yes, you can. The only things that hold you back right now, unless something changes in the next few months, is do you have a personal protection permit? That's one. The second part of that is, are you in a state that honors your permit? And then kind of the second major prong of that, if you're in a company truck, you need to have company approval. Just because that company vehicle is an extension of the company's property, and they can enact any policies or procedures that you would need to abide by under their reach. So hopefully that answers on the personal protection and everything like that. Hopefully that helps.
To comment off of that, for people that does have concealed carry licenses, such as myself, in the event of being pulled over and being inspected in a city that may not recognize it, how would that play out per se? If I'm asking that right.
Well, if you're in an area, say let's just say Chicago, not just because it's common knowledge Chicago has really strict gun rules and all of that. So say you'd be stopped in Chicago and it would be found that you'd be in possession of a firearm, even though you may have a gun permit from another state. If they don't honor that, that could lead to your weapon being seized and you as the driver being jailed. So a lot of that comes down to the local jurisdiction and how they feel about that. And to kind of expand on your question, I want to kind of get out there. If you do have a concealed carry and you do have a weapon in the vehicle and you are stopped for roadside inspection, let the officer know. We'd much rather you say at the very beginning, hey, sir, just so you know, I do have a concealed carry permit, I do have a weapon, and it's in the glove box, or it's over here, or it's under the sleeper, or, if you're up front with us, that puts us as inspectors, as police officers at ease, and that makes everything go better. Then, of course, there's that discussion. Am I required to do that? Am I not? Why not? If you've got a permit, you've got a gun, why make things more difficult? Just be up front and roll with it. So.
Okay, so another quick question as far as safety. Now, say you're at a truck stop and some strange activity is going on, and you call the local police department, and they tell you that it's nothing that they can do about it. What would be your recommendation on that? And I'm speaking from, I was at a truck stop. It had some people trying to get me off the truck. I didn't have the time to move. And they ended up in the long run stealing a tire off my catwalk. I did call the police, They told me that it would be sometime the following day before anybody could come around and just do a drive by to see what was going on. Like in that type of situation, what would you suggest would be the best thing to do?
Well, first off, that must have been a large area. If they couldn't get, if there was a theft in progress and they couldn't get an officer there for you. But so I'm sorry to hear that. But here in Indiana, we try to, cities can be busy, county agencies can get busy, state police agencies. I just attempt to contact, check with another agency, check with another jurisdiction, see if they've got an officer. Definitely keep yourself in the vehicle, keep yourself safe first and foremost, and just try to go from there.
True, but yeah, we appreciate you helping us out with these questions. And I see that I have some text messages that I don't know why they didn't even come through. They all in my other sent box. I'm asking respectfully, are you able to do another maybe 30 minutes of Q&A? I don't want to take advantage of your time, but would you be willing to do another 30 minutes before you go? And then as far as everyone else, I know we've been hearing the same people, but I'm pretty sure we got other people that want to key up as well, ask questions, so that we could give them time to get their questions asked and answered. But yeah, Trooper Hoover, you able to, you free for another 30 minutes?
Yes, I'm free for about another 30. I have a meeting with another trooper around 11:30, 11:45. So yeah, keep them going.
Appreciate it. All right, one question. Let me get back to that. This one is from Heavy D. I think this is another pre-pass question. If it's not a sign that says pre-pass on the scale, can you do? Do you have to pull in, or I think this is what he's asking. Okay, if you got one of those signs that says pull into the scale, like you're doing a weigh-in motion, but you got the green light on the pre-pass. He's wondering, do you have to go in or follow that in-cab signal? That's the best way I could ask that question.
If they're using pre-pass or whatever, and they give you the green light, that kind of trumps the enter the scales. So the enter the scales is for everyone not running pre-pass. So if you can see up ahead that it's a pre-pass scale and it gives you the green light, you can bypass. But if there's ever a case you're in doubt, just go ahead and pull in. Worst they're going to say is, nah, we didn't need you, and send you back out. So follow those in-cab signals when you can.
I have a question. I wasn't here at the very beginning, so maybe this has been asked already. But the question is, what are some of the things that tip you off that you may need to pull a truck over? Other than the obvious, but I mean, like if a driver has a lot of paperwork on the dashboard, or if the truck is not clean, are there some things that trigger an inspection or a pullover?
Ooh, I like to add on to that. Let me add this on to that too. Dashboard, GPSs, dash cameras on the windshield. What would be the criteria for that as well? And in your opinion, what would be some of the good spots to mount them?
Okay. Well, we'll hit on the GPS and cameras and all that good stuff first real quick. So a good rule of thumb is you can dive into the federal regulations in 390, 360 and look at obstructions. So more or less a good rule of thumb is the lower 6 inches of the windshield and the upper 4 inches, and then stay out of the reach of the wipers. Pretty well, if you're in those extreme corners or up high or extreme down low, more than likely you're going to be outside of that and you're going to be good to go as far as an obstruction on the windshield. To answer the first part of the question, what do I look for? I'm kind of an equal opportunity truck stopper. With that being said, I kind of patrol a certain area, and when there's a certain area, I tend to know my local trucks, and I tend to know trucks that are from out of area, so I may stop out of area trucks to check. And yes, if I see a truck go by and he's got a cluttered dash, bunch of papers everywhere, and I think, he doesn't take a few minutes to just clean up the dashboard. Is he doing a pre-trip? Is he looking at tires? Is he looking at suspension? Is he securing his load properly? If he doesn't want to take a few minutes to clean up his dashboard, how's everything else look? So, and then the little window on the lower right-hand side of the passenger door, I kind of call that the garbage meter. If the garbage meter's sitting there at full, we may do an inspection and just see how the mechanicals are.
Oh, wow. That's a good question. A good answer. Wow. Garbage meter. Wow. Okay. I got another text question. And this one is, wow. The question comes to more so, why is it that everything pretty much falls on the driver when it comes to hours of service or when loads need to be picked up and delivered at certain times? And then when it comes to e-logs, blah, 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 why is it that they come heavy on the carrier and the driver, but not the shippers and the receivers, if I'm asking that question right?
And that's a question that I've asked myself, because one of the big pushes of e-logs, ELD mandate was more responsibility for shippers and receivers to be on time and yada, yada, yada. But I'm sitting here scratching my head going, okay, you got FMCSA that comes down on the carriers. You got the roadside inspectors that are out here with the trucks and the drivers. I think it just kind of got the cart before the horse on that one. There's really nothing in place to make these big shippers and receivers responsible for what they're doing. So I think that's where there's been a little bit of that breakdown. And unfortunately, the brunt of this issue has fell on you guys, the drivers. So that's a good question that I wish I had a better answer for. So what I just said was just my real quick opinion, personal opinion. If we're sitting there just having a discussion across the table, it'd be that I don't really know of a way that they can hold them responsible. So hopefully that answers that question for you.
All right, quick question. I'm about to pull up into a door. Oh man, it was in my head, and I just forgot about it. All right, I'm going to release the button so I can rethink about it.
Good question. I've been here the whole time. So maybe it's not a question, it's maybe more of a statement. But since e-logs came out, I have to say that I run more dangerous now for the simple fact that I run at higher speeds and I don't stop and take a nap when I want to. But yeah, to conserve my clock, I'm driving faster now. I'm burning more fuel, therefore I'm driving more dangerous. So I really think e-logs have not made things safer by any means. I'm just kind of making that statement. I'll be back quiet.
They're working on making some changes. But Trooper Hoover, can you go into the 16-hour exemption and who it applies to, who it does not apply to, used?
That's good. That's a good question. I think it's only local, but
I want to piggyback on that. The 16-hour. How exactly is your dispatch allowed to even bring it up?
Something to remember about the 16-hour is you're going to have to be in a position where you've reported your same work reporting location the previous 5 duty cycles. So with that being said, really over-the-road guys cannot take advantage of this. So this is mainly those guys that are staying local, reporting to their normal work reporting location, home terminal, each and every day when they go out, when they come back in. And really, all that does, it extends that 14 hours, and it doesn't extend your 11. It just gives you a couple more hours to get your 11 wrapped up in. So hopefully that kind of brings that to light on that.
Hey, Trooper, I have a question for you. Does Indiana has a law on traffic behind you, and does Indiana have a law as far as the season of it being wintertime and the snow that is packed on our trailers? This is sitting on our 10-hour break, dropping and hooking for companies, and you pick up a trailer and it has all that snow built up on top. And if Indiana does have a snow height law, is there some place we can go to get that off?
When it comes to snow and ice, I've not seen anything come across the board as getting 100% definite state law written in place. But I kind of see it as a monkey see, monkey do situation. There's a lot of other states starting to have such legislation. So I wouldn't be surprised in the next 4 to 5 years we do see something like that in Indiana. And then as far as lane and traffic behind you, here in the last year, Indiana has brought in a left-hand lane law, or slowpoke law, as it's kind of called. And basically what that means is if you're on a divided highway, you're out there in the left-hand lane, and that faster traffic's not allowed to pass, and you're inhibiting that traffic, you can be stopped and be cited for that. And a little bit of a background on that, because anytime I talk about it, I get people all upset saying, well, you can write me a ticket for being in the left-hand lane running the speed limit, but you're not writing these guys running 90 miles an hour tickets. Well, the stats and the statistics have shown that crashes and bad crashes on interstate highways are more likely resulting from faster traffic striking slower traffic than that 1 or 2 cars running 90 miles an hour. Then again, too, if you're out there blocking that guy running 90, move over to the right-hand lane, let him be your bear bait, let him run 90, and then when he comes up to the state trooper sitting in the median, then we're going to stop that car running 90 and not have to worry about the truck out there in the left-hand lane. So hopefully that kind of answers that and explains a little bit in depth for you guys. And in fact, ironically, there goes a truck with a little bit of snow on the trailer. But like I said, if I don't see anything coming off that could be loose dunnage, then I don't have any reason to stop him for it.
Okay, what about you sitting in the median, a truck passes you, and you can't read you can't see his tail lights or his license plate due to snow? Is that a fine ticket?
Yes. That turns into an obstruction of required lighting. So, and especially guys out there listening that have been driving, these LED lights do not generate any heat. So if your weather environment, be making sure you're out, checking your lights, wiping them off, wiping your license plate off, stuff like that. But yes, obstruction of the tail lights, brake lights, license plate, those are a violation. And if it gets to the point that, it needs a ticket, we can generate a ticket on that.
Just real quick, Ashland Transport, welcome. We have a state DOT officer in the room. He's speaking for some of the federal regulations, and namely Indiana. So obviously this wouldn't apply. So To our international drivers, drivers in Finland, Africa, and Asia, etc. So if you guys could just be patient and hold your comments for a little bit until we get through this. I have one quick question, not to be adversarial, but these are the hard questions. And I believe JB has a question on the table as well. And how you doing, JB? My only question is, I run into a gamut of YouTube videos, and I understand that they're only going to post the videos that they win in their confrontation or their uh, meeting with DOT officers. But there's this thing where they invoking Fourth and Fifth Amendment privileges, where they don't participate in any type of the DOT inspections, etc. They won't give you wipers, they won't give you blinkers, anything of that nature. Are you aware of that? And what is your take on drivers not having to participate in DOT inspections?
Yes, I am aware of that, and I would advise everyone not to do that. Not to do that. And here's some of the reasons why. I understand the Constitution, I understand all that, but something you got to realize is stuff that if you're walking down the street or sitting in your driveway or something like that, that's one thing. But you're out here on public roadways, you're driving a commercial motor vehicle. Hopefully you understand that when you applied and you got your CDL, that you're aware that you're driving a commercial motor vehicle that can be stopped at any time randomly for an inspection. And part of that inspection is you as a driver complying with those protocols. And if you do have a problem with that, my advice is quit driving a truck. Because the regulations, they may be a little fuzzy, but there's states that are starting to put their laws in place that says if a driver refuses to submit, they're going to go to jail, just like anything else. If you're driving a car down the roadway, that's a privilege. It's not a right. So just understanding that just because people are posting YouTube videos on it doesn't make it right. If you're driving a CMV and you want to try this, good luck going to jail. I wish you the best. But just understand that, when you're out on public highways, when you're driving, doing this, some of those are privileges. Those aren't necessarily rights. So, like I said, we could sit here all day and go over this and that, but the long part of it is, please use some common sense. The truck inspections has been going on a long time, and if there was court rulings that stated that police can't inspect trucks, we would have already seen the court case and it would be stopped. So just try to use a level head, use some common sense, comply, go through with it. You may not agree with some things that are written up, but you know what? That's the world we live in. CMVs can be stopped. CMVs can be inspected. So just understand that if you're wanting to play that game, I wish you good luck. And don't let the taser bite you on the way to the ground as far as resisting. So hopefully you guys understand that with a grain of salt. I'm not trying to be a smarty pants with it, but
I'm sorry, I was gonna clear that up because I heard him when he asked the question. His city horn worked. He said that his city horn worked, and it was just that he was going in for inspection, but they failed him for the city horn. But the city horn worked, but it was just because of the electrical city horn. It didn't.
I'm sorry, I thought you was finished. My fault. Come back.
No, come back, Lockout. That was it.
Okay, I guess I can try to get the button now. Yeah, my question is, I just purchased a 2012, and I went into the truck stop to get a DOT inspection. The truck purchase has a electric horn tied into the city horn, and it has an air horn and a backup horn. So when I was doing my inspection, he asked me to hit my city horn, And I told him, you know, I have a city horn. I hit it. It sounded. He says he would not pass me, and he's not. I'm not passable because it's not an actual city horn from the manufacturer. And I'm saying, show me where that states that that has to be the case. So that my question is that allowed? As long as you have it tied to an electrical device, you know, i.e. your horn, and it sounds, you're able to use it. Is that considered passable?
All right, Trooper. I want to say thank you for your time. I'm about to get up in this door, so this will be my last question for me. Um, what cons- Being that you're out there on a daily basis every day, and you see these different trucking companies, which which of these companies constitutes the most stops? I think I'm asking that right. Or let's say a certain company like Swift, US Express, do those companies like carriers constitutes more stops than other carriers? Um, if I may be asking that right. And that's my last question. I know you gotta go. And I just want to say thank you.
Yeah, first off, it's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure. And guys, feel free to hit me up. Something like this, being an app, being that I don't, you know, if I'm sitting along the roadway somewhere, hit me up. If you guys want to do this again, I'd be more than happy to. So, with the horn question, I just want to answer real quick. 39381 is the horn code in the federal books. It states every bus, truck, tractor, and every driven motor vehicle in a driveway tollway operation shall be equipped with a horn and actuating elements which shall be in such condition as to give an adequate and reliable warning signal. So you can see it's pretty clear cut and simple. And then the interpretations on that do Federal Motor Carrier Safety Regulations specify what type of horn is to be used in a commercial motor vehicle. The answer is no. So air horn or city horn? Nope, doesn't matter as long as you got a horn. Are there established criteria in the FM to determine the minimum sound level of horns on CMVs? No. So my only thing would be, it'd be interesting if they were applying their state laws to that roadside inspection, or if they were applying the federal regs. Because some states, like here in Indiana has one state law that says, hey, whatever comes out in the green book, we're going to apply that to our CMVs. So for us, it's fairly easy. Other states can enact other laws that can be a little bit more stricter. So hopefully that answers that on the horn. And the question about what companies, I stop a variety of trucks. I like some of the junkier stuff that I know I'm going to find lengthy violations on. So typically, I'm stopping log trucks, gravel trucks, dump trucks, stuff like that. But we do have our road troopers, especially around our major cities. They do stop a lot of the more brand name trucking companies for speed, lane movement, stuff like that. So hopefully that helps. It's been a pleasure, guys. And like I said, anybody out there, I got this ISP CVED page, Facebook page. I try to get on there about once a day, share some helpful tips. If you got any other questions for me, go there, send me a message. More than likely you're going to get me, and I can answer that for you and help you out. So this has been great. It's been fun, and feel free to hit me up anytime for a continuation of this session.
Trooper Brent, we appreciate you taking your time out to speak to us. Yeah, we would love to have you back again to do another Q&A. But yeah, anybody else, like you said, I will send links out to anybody. You could text me. I'll send you the link to his fan page of Indiana State Police Commercial Vehicle Enforcement, where you can ask the questions. I don't mind sending you that link. Anybody else that wanted to ask questions and wasn't able to get the button or able to text. So yeah, I don't mind sharing that info.
Yeah, Steve, it's Young Grind. You can send me that link. I'll get on there and ask him the question that I had. And if you have a quick second, the question was, with the dump trucks hauling loose debris and it's not covered, is that an Indiana law or can they roll like that?
Yeah, I'll send that question to him.
Yeah, send it over to me also, Stephen, please. Thank you.